So Jamie's asked me to come and have a chat to you all today, a little bit about my story with Jesus. As Jamie has said, I do not train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm quite clear on that, quite happy with that decision. But I do call myself a member of the Renegade community. And the reason I do is because Brian has trained here for about almost 6 years now, and every time that I walk through these doors, I'm welcomed as a member of this community, as a member of this family. So yes, I am a proud renegade, but yeah, the training that I do this afternoon is probably the extent of what I will do in terms of martial arts. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about my story. So Brian's spoken about a month ago, and I wanted to give you, I guess, the other side of it. So let's wind back about seven years ago. We had a 4-year-old daughter. I was pregnant with my second, and I just quit my job. Okay, so I was going to stay home, and Brian was going to get a full-time job in ministry. This was all planned out, yeah? And it was a good plan, but it wasn't God's plan, yeah? And in fact, at that time, pretty much our world was turned upside down. So I was left a couple of months later with a newborn baby, a very energetic 4-year-old, and my husband who was in bed, yeah, he was very unwell. So what did I do? What was I going to do? During that time, it wasn't the question of why me that I was asking, but rather what now, yeah? I'm quite a practical person, and so given a task, I will work towards it. But without a vision, I'm pretty wandering aimlessly around. So our good plan was not going to plan. So what I did, strapped the baby on my back, and I went back to work. Yeah, because that's what we needed to do. I was really struggling to understand why what we thought we were doing was the right thing and how it didn't turn out that way. I went through the process of if only I was a better wife, a better mother, somehow I might have been able to see what was coming, to do something to fix it all and make it all better. But that wasn't the way that life went, and in fact, what I learnt through this time was God's grace. Now, God's grace, the word, means unmerited favour. So I didn't have to prove anything by working hardest or being the best or in fact being the worst to deserve this grace, that it was offered to me freely. Yeah, that God had given me His grace without me having to prove anything to Him. So once I was working through this identity of being a child of God before being a wife, being a mother, being a worker, being a sister, being a friend, doing all the things that I was running around madly trying to do to fix everything. Once I stopped, I realized that God wanted to teach me that I was a child of God first and foremost, and I didn't have to do anything for that. Yeah, that it was what Jesus had done on the cross for me, enabled me to be that child of God. It also opened my eyes to the fact that I wasn't alone, yeah, in this part of the journey. And so Team Hickey started to form at this time. There were people in our lives and in my life, and people in part of this community that came alongside us, that gave us practical help, that helped to take care of the girls, that gave us food, but also that gave us emotional support. And I was able to see loving, gathering and serving in action, yeah? And so it was God's grace through people in our lives that helped both Brian and I move through that very dark time in our lives, understanding how we live in community and how that helps us to see God's love and God's grace in our own lives through other people around us. So it was a really good lesson in pride, yeah, as well as in understanding that I don't have to keep striving to be the best or to fix things to make everything better. It also reminded me of a story from the Bible in Luke, the story of Mary and Martha. Yeah. So Jesus is coming into town with his disciples, and Martha says, "Come over, we'll feed you, we'll have a meal together." And so Martha's in the kitchen. She's madly trying to, make sure the food's okay and make sure there's enough for everyone. And Mary's sitting out with Jesus and the other followers. And Martha comes out from the kitchen and she says to Jesus, "Don't you care? Can't you see that I'm doing all this hard work and Mary's doing nothing? You need to tell her to come and help me," right? So what fascinates me about this story is that she's questioning Jesus, the Son of God who knows everything. Can't you see? And then she's actually telling Jesus what to do. You need to tell her to come and help me. And so really, so often I feel like Martha, trying to do all of this hard work and then telling Jesus, now we've got all these good plans, yeah? I'm doing all this good stuff, but if it's not God's plan for us, then it's all just chasing after the wind, there's not meaning in it. We need to be in God's plan. That's the best plan for us. So it really reminded me that I need to stop and slow down, yeah? That I'm a child of God first, that's where my identity is. And that when we love each other, when we gather together, and when we're serving each other, that's how God's grace comes out from us to others and comes back in from others to us. So that's a little bit about where I have been travelling over the last 7 years. I don't have all of the solutions, but I am a recipient of God's grace and proud to be called a child of God.